Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Tuesdays with the Pilgrim. Today we continue our journey with Chapter 9, Part 2, Vanity Fair. Then I saw in my dream that when the two had reached the end of the wilderness, they could see a town stretching before them. The name of that town is Vanity, and in that town there is a perpetual fair called Vanity Fair. It bears this name first because the town where it sits is as superficial as vanity, and also because all that is bought and sold there is as meaningless as vanity. The saying of the wise is true: vanity of vanities, all is vanity. This fair is no newly erected enterprise. It is a thing of ancient standing. Let me tell you of its origin. About 5,000 years ago, two honest pilgrims were walking to the celestial city. Beelzebub, Apollyon, and Legion, together with all their companions, saw that the path the pilgrims were traveling on passed through the city. So they devised a plan to set up a fair within it, a fair in which all kinds of worthless vanity could be sold all year long. See Vanity Fair, the pilgrims there are chained and stand beside. Even so our Lord passed here, and on Mount Calvary died. To this day all kinds of merchandise is still sold there: houses, lands, jobs, positions, honors, promotions, titles, countries, kingdoms, lusts, pleasures. And there are also enjoyments of all sorts to suit one's preference: wars, prostitutes, wives, husbands, children, masters, servants, lives, blood, bodies, souls, silver, gold, pearls, precious stones, and more. In addition, at this fair, there can always be seen deceptive trickery, cheating, gambling, games, plays, amusements, foolish frauds, knaves, and rogues of every type. Not to mention the numerous thieves, murderers, adulterers, and false witnesses of the basest sort. Other fairs of less consequence have several rows and streets called by proper names that identify where certain items are sold. Likewise, there are rows and streets named by countries and kingdoms where the desired merchandise can be found. There is the British Row, the French Row, the Italian Row, the Spanish Row, the German Row, and so forth. All sorts of vanities are sold in these places, but as in other fairs, one commodity is chief of all at the fair. So the wares of Rome and her merchandise are greatly promoted at this fair. Only our English nation, with some others, have taken dislike to it. Now, as I've said, the way to the celestial city passes right through this town where the lusty fair is held, and he who would like to bypass this town on the way to the celestial city would have to leave the world altogether. The Prince of Princes himself, when on earth, went through this town on his way to his own country. I believe it was Beelzebub, the chief lord of the fair, who invited him to buy his vanities. Indeed, Beelzebub offered to make him lord of the fair if he would only pay him homage as he went through the town. Because he is such a person of honor, Beelzebub took him from street to street in a short time, showing him all the kingdoms of the world. He tried to allure the Blessed One into buying some of his vanities, and thereby cheapening himself. But he had no interest in the merchandise. He left the town without buying so much as 1 penny's worth. So you can see that this fair is ancient. Nonetheless, its alluring power is still very great today. Now, faithful and Christian would have to go through this fair, and so they set out. Even as they first entered the fair, however, all the people took notice. As a matter of fact, the entire town came together in a great commotion around them. There were several reasons for this. First, pilgrims' clothes were so different from those that were traded at the fairs that the people just stood and stared at them. Some said they were fools, others said they were lunatics, still others said they were very strange. Second, just as the people marveled at their clothing, they also wondered about their speech, for only a few could understand what they said. This was because the pilgrims naturally spoke the language of Canaan. But those at the fair were people of the world. So from one end of the fair to the other, the pilgrims were thought to be uncivilized foreigners. Third, the pilgrims showed little interest in the items displayed for sale, something not at all appreciated by the city's merchants. They did not care enough to look at them, and when the merchants called upon them to buy, they would put their fingers in their ears and cry, "Turn my eyes away from worthless things." They would then look upward, signifying the only things of interest to them were in heaven. Well, that's chapter 9, part 2. Next week we'll pick up with chapter 9, part 3, The Pilgrims Cause a Commotion. Until then, take care, stay safe, and God bless.